Man, you know, I want to get mad at the Leafs for losing to the Penguins, but I mean, they lost to the Stanley Cup champions. Like, I mean, they got Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby's a Stanley Cup champion. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, like who are some other Stanley Cup champions the Penguins have? Evgeny Malkin? Yeah. Chris Letang? Yeah. Matt Murray? Yeah. Marc-Andre Fleury? He was the backup, but sure. I'm not saying it. Say the words, dude. No. Who else on the Penguins is a Stanley Cup champion? Brian Rust! Hi, everyone. Austin Matthews! Well, time for a rebuild. This team is ruining my life! I'm here with Sidney Crosby, Stanley Cup champion Sidney Crosby. Who else is a Stanley Cup champion? Is Phil Kessel a Stanley Cup champion?
Phil Kessel is a Stanley Cup champion.
That's right. Phil Kessel is a Stanley Cup champion. The Leafs lose. They lost pretty handily. 4-1 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Man, I'm feeling really philosophical about this game. I'm feeling really philosophical this morning. I actually slept last night. It was weird. All right, 3 guys in the lineup that haven't been in the lineup for quite a while. Matt Hunwick, Peter Holland, Frank Corrado. How did they do? One of them making an impact very early in the game. Matt Hunwick just puts it on net. Zach Hyman planted in front, tips it in, past Matt Murray. Guess what? The Leafs are winning a game that I thought they were going to get killed in. I saw the report that Jonas Enroth was going to be in net, and that kind of puts the Leafs at a disadvantage, not because he's bad, but because he's the backup. He's not Freddie. Instead, they put in Freddie. Also a disadvantage because he played last night. So now you also have 2 guys who haven't played since Game 6 in Peter Holland and Matt Hunwick, and you got Frank Corrado who has played, he has not played. And somehow they are leading. I would go as far to say that a win in this game, even a pity point, would make up for the Jets collapse that we shan't mention. That's how much I expect them to lose this game, and they're winning it. Hell, they're even winning after 1. That's great. Let's see what the second period brings. A penalty for Frank Corrado because just the universe hates him. Gets into a battle in front with Tom Kuhnhackl, takes him down, and guess what? Penguins power play. Which, by the way, God, you know, it's been fun watching the improvements the Leafs have made, and as much as they frustrate us sometimes, they have made improvements. But I love watching teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins because you're like, oh, there's this tier, and then there's this. Chris Letang misses the net, so Evgeny Malkin gets the rebound and bangs it in past Freddie Anderson. Chris Letang didn't miss the net, man. That's what he was aiming for. And all of a sudden, a 5-on-4 turns into a 6-on-4 because you know how to use the boards as another player, and the Penguins tie it up, and of course, Frankie. Now, Frankie would get that one back. Ironically, he would draw a penalty against Tom Kuhnhackl. But of course the Penguins scored on their power play. The Leafs did not score on theirs. But again, we're in the dying seconds of the second period, and I'm like, holy smokes, I can't believe this game is even tied. And the Penguins start running the Leafs show. Brian Rust mucking it up in front. Just kidding. He's practically just standing there because none of the Leafs defenders are doing anything. Chris Kunitz is able to put it in past Freddie Anderson amidst a flurry. It's 2-1 Penguins late in the second. That's how it goes into intermission. Hunwick looked like he was doing the mannequin challenge. Move! Make it look a little bit more like the Running Man challenge. But you know what? It's almost like Leaf fans have license to dump on Matt Hunwick. Yeah, he didn't look good on that goal. JVR, what are you doing? Bozak, what are you doing? There's 3 vets! 3 vets, by the way, who can't be trusted in their own end. I'm not even just talking about this goal. Bozak and JVR are a lot of fun to watch with Marner in the offensive zone. Whee! But man, defending is a struggle. And then after that, in the third period, geez, I don't need to draw this out. Brian Rust just eating Morgan Riley's lunch. He falls down. Leo Komarov's not moving, so he can't cover for him. He puts it past Freddie. It's 3-1. 4-1 goal. It's a bit of a flauta, and it makes its way to Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby is Sidney Crosby, and he Sidney Crosby's the puck into the net. For some reason, and this is kind of weird, the third period actually made me feel better about the rest. Because in second intermission, I'm like, the Leafs are losing because they stood still on the second goal. Alright, let's pretend the opposite happened. Let's pretend the Leafs went up 2-1 at the end of the second. Look at how the Leafs played in the third, man. The Penguins got 20 shots in the third period of a game they were winning. Yes, the Leafs got 15, but how many of those were legit scoring chances? Any of them? Actually, yeah, I think they got 3 scoring chances, all on the PK. But that wasn't even the third period, though. The Leafs didn't get a power play until 1 minute and 5 seconds left. Malkin sticking Marner in the face, how dare you! No, you could argue that maybe a goal at the end of the second for the Leafs, or at very least not being down, would have given them some life in their legs, but no, they looked exhausted from the night before. And speaking of exhausted, how about Freddie? He faced 82 shots in a 24-hour period. Okay, like 26 hours. 49 of them came from the reigning Stanley Cup champions. That's a bad Saturday night, man. So despite the loss and despite the fact that they look totally outclassed, I do gotta praise Babcock for doing something that I've been dying for him to do, which is using the spare players he has. Use Peter Holland when you have a chance. Use Frankie Corrado when you have a chance. I mean, you got more guys than you need. Use them. Leafs play more back-to-backs than anybody. Use them! And I'm looking at the Leafs schedule. God, they don't really get a break. Okay, they got 2 days off after the Penguins, then they got the Preds, day off. Panthers, day off. Habs, oh my God, no one's beating the Habs. 2 days off, okay, that's great. Oh, and then you got a back-to-back against Carolina and New Jersey. 2 days off, great. Caps, 2 days off, great. And then you get the Western road trip, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, which is its own monster. So, this is what it is. The Leafs have a hard schedule, harder than most other teams. It's just another thing they gotta overcome. So let me get even more philosophical, okay? Let me get even more philosophical. I heard all night they were talking about how William Nylander hasn't scored in a bunch of games. Okay, fine. Austin Matthews hasn't scored in a bunch of games. Okay, fine. The Leafs are tied for 10th in the league with 2.93 goals per game. That's pretty good. In terms of goals against, they allow 3.6 per game, which is third last in the league. Now, I would love Matthews to score more goals. I would love Nylander to score more goals. This is not why the team is losing games. Now let's talk about a little transaction that happened. The Leafs put Seth Griffith on waivers. What if he gets claimed? Oh my goodness, what if he doesn't get claimed? He gets to go to the Marlies and they will be full of firepower, even more so. Nope. Claimed by the Florida Panthers. Last season in the AHL, Griffith had 77 points in 57 games as a 22/23-year-old. And the Leafs claimed this prospect who looks like he could really turn into something from a divisional rival. What a huge victory. And they just, here you go, gave him to another one. Now, you could certainly argue, Steve, this guy's playing on the wing. You wrote yourself that the Leafs have too many guys in the wing. They're going to have to give up someone on the wing. And I'm looking up and down the team and I'm going, okay, what could you have done to save Seth Griffith? Well, you could have put Ben Smith on waivers instead. Yeah, you could have. I think I love Ben Smith more than most, but you would never, ever trade Seth Griffith for Ben Smith 1-for-1. You just wouldn't. One's a 28-year-old fourth liner who, God bless him, and the other is a 23-year-old with potential to score in the NHL. But I look and go, all right, Babcock loves his toys. He loves Ben Smith centering the fourth line, okay? I get that. That's fine. Okay, so send down Zach Hyman. You can send him down. No, why would you do that? He's got 2 goals in 2 games. He's finally picking it up. The obvious answer to me, and this is going to annoy some people, is Nikita Soshnikov. I mean, he was called up, wasn't he? Isn't that how he got his opportunity? He was called up, and this to me just proves the theory that supposedly Babcock wanted Soshnikov on the team out of camp. I mean, Sosh has been alright, but jeez, has he been that great? I love Sosh. I love Nick Flair. Woo! I'm just wondering if he has been so good that it was not worth it to protect this asset. But, like I said, for everyone upset about that, I wrote about it, the Leafs were eventually going to have to give up a winger. In fact, they're going to have to give up more before it's all said and done. They have too many. They have far too many. So now I guess the question of the game is, how many goals is Seth Griffith going to score on the Leafs on Thursday night when the Panthers visit? He already took James from us. Wasn't that enough? Here, let me answer my own question of the game. How many goals is Seth Griffith going to get against the Leafs on Thursday night? There, I did it that time. The answer is 1. He's going to get 1 goal because that's all he's going to need because the Panthers are going to start James Reimer and he's going to get a shutout. So, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. And PK Subban's visiting Toronto on Tuesday. I wonder if people are going to talk about that.